Morning. Welcome to part 2 of another day building a boat in your dining room. Well, last night I probably worked a little bit longer, or I was a bit tired, but I ended up making this seat, well this template, I'm making this template for a seat out of hardboard, and I ended up making it back to front. So this is what happened. This was the old piece, which is basically going in the bin, and effectively I cut the curves the wrong way, or rather I put that cutout in the wrong place. It should have been here towards the front, not towards the back. And so I've created a new piece last night. I decided just to crack on and do another piece, and there's not a lot of difference, as you can see, in the position of where that cutout goes, but I was also trying to measure up these blocks, these supporting blocks, and putting those in the wrong place as well. So it just shows that you're not always thinking straight when you're tired. So it's a good job I was kind of in my mind thinking about all the pieces and looking to dry fit them, because what I'm really trying to do is get this centreboard in place, but obviously the seat and the keel are going to affect the final position of this, so I need to work through those at least as a thought process. So that's where the centreboard is going to sit approximately, and the seat is going to sit here. So at the moment I need to cut a little bit more out of here to get the seat into position. So it's just a question of getting all the pieces to fit. It's like making your own jigsaw. Okay, so enough talking, and I need to crack on because I've had a late start this morning, and I want to get this done before lunchtime. Well, the seat. I want to get the seat position sorted and all of the pieces correct before lunchtime, so that after lunch I can screw on the keel and then cut the hole for the centreboard, and then glue the centreboard in position. Probably be the last thing I do at the end of the day today, and that will be a good step forward. Right, let's crack on. So the first job then is some minor adjustments to the centreboard case. I have to make some adjustments so that the seat can fit into the slot. Then starting to look at the supports for the seat. So there's 4 of those, 2 forward and 2 aft. Of course, these have to be exactly level, and they also have to be shaped to fit the side of the hull. And of course, to be flat on top, they also have to be an angle. I just wanted to stop for a second and show you some of the work that's going in at a detailed level. And so I'm working on putting the seat in. I've got the tiller sitting across a piece of hardboard, so the hardboard is shaped like the seat while I work on these blocks, which are the supporting blocks for the seat. And there's 4 of them, so 2 aft and 2 forward. So this is the forward starboard one, and they're just a simple block of wood, but the complexity is that I have to plane I think it's about a 12-degree angle. So what I've done is I've just put the block against the seat and then drawn roughly the angle. And then to actually get that angle, I mean, of course, this final piece, this final surface that's been cut will have to be pretty flat. And when that block is installed against the side of the boat, it'll be at a slight angle because of the curve of the hull. So the idea is that this top plane needs to be completely horizontal and completely flat to support the seat across its whole length and its whole breadth. So that's quite important. And because I've got 2 of these, one aft and 1 forward, they have to be not only flat and at the same angle, but they also have to be horizontal and aligned in both dimensions, or in all 3 dimensions, so that when I have the 2 blocks next to each other, it's a completely continuous flat surface to support the seat properly. Otherwise the seat might twist or crack. So it's quite a tricky process, and how I've done it is I've just taken the hand plane and I've just planed off a rough approximation for the angle, and then I've used what is currently my favourite tool, which is this I think it's called a bastard file, or rasp. It's quite a coarse file basically, and because it's completely flat, I can get a really nice flat edge along there, I can just keep filing along that until it's roughly the right angle, and it'll give me a very, very flat surface. So that is quite good. So I'm quite pleased with that. So now I'm just going to tape that into position, and then I've got one more to do. So I've done 2 already on this side. This is the 3rd one. I've got 1 more to go, and then I'll think about actually cutting out the real seat, and then I'll fine tune the positions of all of these. And once I'm happy these are all in place, I can then unbolt the bolt and make sure that the front half sits still in the back half. Then of course this block will be glued onto the hull over the top of this existing what is here, 6 pieces of glass fibre reinforcement. So I need to take away some of the rear as well in order to accommodate the extra thickness of the glass there, so that it'll fit over the top of the glass. And then of course the corner, there's a fillet in the corner, so I need to round off that edge as well, so that when that edge is rounded over, it will fit nicely and snugly into that filleted corner. And when I glue it up, there won't be too many void areas that will require the glue to sit there and not run away, which is what can happen. So I think it's quite important to get this fit as close as you possibly can before gluing, so that the glue can't run, because if it does, you're going to be left with a void, which isn't going to be great. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, it's halfway through the afternoon, and I'm going to give you a quick update because the camera wasn't working. It wasn't in the time lapse, so it's missed out an hour or so of progress. So I'll just recap quickly. So basically, I've just split the hull, and I've done a bit of jigsaw work while I've got the benches available. So I've cut down the line of the forward keel, so that should now be the right shape to go on the boat, on the forward section, in slightly. And then this is the bit for the aft section, so that gets progressively larger as it goes towards the stern, and that should be the shape of the hull there. So those are now going to be attached to the hull. That's the next step. But while I had the jigsaw out, I thought I would also cut out the piece of 3/4 inch ply, which is going to be the centre seat. So there's my template. It's the actual 3rd template. So the first one I got it back to front, the second one was a bit too short, and this one I thought was actually the closest to the true fit. And I got the blocks taped in place, so I'm happy with the position of the blocks. So before I can actually do anything with the blocks, like glue them, I need to fully ensure that they're level. And for that I need not some flexible hardboard like this, it's bending all over the place, but the actual solid part of the seat, so that I can ensure that all the corners are sitting true, because there's 8 corners, so 4 blocks, each block has 2 corners or 2 ends, and I'll ensure that all 8 of those ends are actually sitting flush against the seat before I glue them in place, so that the weight from the seat is distributed and you don't get any kind of tilting, because the seat will just be loose. It's not going to be glued in place. It's going to be removable. I'm just going to sweep up some of this sawdust and then get the boat back together on the stands, and then look at getting the keel fixed into position. All right, let's go. So like I said, the first job is doing a bit of tidying up, getting rid of some of that sawdust, then get the 2 hulls bolted back together, back on the stands, and then looking at dry fitting the keel. So at this stage the keel isn't 100% fitting, so just doing a little bit of fine tuning with the small plane. Actually it's a surf foam I think I've been using, and there we are, drilling some holes in the aft section, going underneath, drilling back up into the keel. Now the forward section, just tape it down, drill the holes, back underneath, drill the holes back through up into the keel. And for the final part I had to actually sort of strap down the front part of the keel because it was bending back again. But got it all done in the end. And then finally taking the boat back apart again and looking at the centreboard and screwing it into position. Okay, so that's the end of today's labour. I got the keel cut, and I drilled the holes in the centre line, so quite a few here. I drilled them from the outside because I knew where the keel was, and then I went underneath the boat with a bright light and drilled back through the holes into the keel, so that the holes in the keel itself and here will line up. So I've taken the keel off again now because I need to glass the outside of this one first before I can finally glue that on. And then on the front section here, what I've done is the same thing. The keel here is a lot shorter, so only 1, 2, 3, 4, only 6 screws this time instead of 8. But there is more of a curve, so I need like 2 at the front to stop it from springing off. So with the keel actually in position, I could then look at figuring out where to put the centreboard case. So if you can see in this light, there is, I've marked it in felt tip pen. This is the area that I need to cut out. So the shaded areas are where the centreboard case will be, but there's wood, and then the gap in the middle is where the centreboard itself will have to go through. So I need to cut the inside part of that. And I've drilled holes, 1 in each corner from the inside, and then I've gone to the outside of this. So then I've gone to the outside of this and I've drawn it again from hole to hole. So this is the area that I need to actually cut out. So I've got drilled the 4 holes, and then I've drilled extra holes here to make a gap big enough to get the jigsaw blade in, so that I actually can cut that rectangle out. But it's getting quite late today and I don't want to start something that crucial right now while I'm tired, so I'm going to come back to it next time, because once it's cut, it's just a hole, and I haven't really got time to do any glassing of the centreboard in position, and that's going to be quite time consuming to get it in the right spot. I've done it once, dry fitted it just by holding it in place with tape and with battens, but just loose battens resting on it. But I actually need to screw it in place before I glue it, so that it's in exactly the right spot. So I need to do that all in one go, so that'll be next time. Right, there we go, that's it for now. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos, then please subscribe. Okay, cheers.